So I'm Murray Izenwasser. Thank you, Amjad, for the introduction. Before we get started, I want to thank our team for putting on this incredible event. You all did an amazing job. I want to thank our partners at Microsoft who are going to be joining us here today at a couple of sessions throughout the day. And mostly I want to thank our clients who have taken time out of their day to talk to all of us about some of the work that they're doing and that we're doing with them. What I want to do today, though, is I want to talk about, before we start talking about the future, this is called the AI Future Summit, right? And here's the timeline for AI. Everyone thinks AI is a new thing. AI research started in the 1940s. We're in the 70th year, 80th year of AI being something that is being focused on by researchers. It's not a new concept, but I'm not going to go through this. I'm going to look at it in a different way. So let's go back to before 2015. What I have done was a bunch of research with my team about what were the conversations going on online, what were the articles that were being published online for the years leading up to today. So first we're going to look at the past, then we're going to look at the current, and then we're going to take a look at the future. And before 2015, AI was called big data. There were no conversations online, or very few. A couple of academic papers. It was about big data, and we'll see how this has changed over time. Everybody remember big data? Anybody talking about big data anymore? Not really, no. All right, so in 2015, something changed. OpenAI was founded, and there started to be a mainstreaming of the concepts of the things that we still kind of talk about today. The other thing that happened was there were breakthroughs both from a technology perspective, AI being founded, OpenAI being founded, and consumer integration. We started to get Nests, we started to get Alexas, we started to get Google Homes, we started to get all these devices that had what we would consider today AI components as part of their operating systems. So in 2015, OpenAI was founded. The talent that went to OpenAI came from two places. Came from FANG, right, which are the large Facebook, Apple, Amazon. I can't remember what the N and the G stand for. The G is Google. I don't remember what the N is. Netflix. A lot of those top-level technologists and researchers from those organizations went to OpenAI. And academia went to OpenAI. So suddenly you had this brain drain towards this one organization. The media took notice. We started to talk about AI. The technical advancements, the consumer products, and the concept of turning data. We used to talk about turning data to information. Now we talk about turning data to knowledge. How can we use data to truly give us knowledge? And this shift happened in 2015. So when we look at the word clouds of what happened each year, the focus for what was happening that year in 2015, they were very focused on technology, very focused on process, very focused on developing solutions, on systems, creating applications. It was very early exploration in the business world, very focused on the technologies and automation, data processing and efficiencies. Right? We're going to jump ahead to 2017. Going to jump ahead, there we go. And there in 2017, we start seeing the conversations around early AI pilots, cautious adoption. People aren't really sure what it is. The focus, though, was on machine learning. Machine learning pilots, natural language processing became a thing that was being talked about. Started to see early chatbots, people touting successes. A lot of platforms at this point said, hey, we have AI components, right, in our platforms, whether they did or not. That's up to you guys to figure out. RPA, automation, became a major topic, and recommendation engines, especially on the marketing side. Recommendations engines, next best action engines became popular. And the major focus of the articles that were published, of the conversations online, were really focused on the company. How can the company do something with AI? How can the company embrace this? Customer started to become a concept, organizing, and you see machine learning starting to come up in popularity in the words that were used in the articles. Jump ahead to 2019. Have some actual AI pilots starting and early strategic scaling. 77% of companies, I love this, implemented AI. Only 31% at that time saw business value. Now remember, this is before ChatGPT. This is before GPT engines, large language models. This was all machine learning and natural language processing. So people were starting to do things, but the ability to implement solutions was fairly narrow. And what we start seeing, the conversations coming up, is around data and analytics. We start seeing the needs. People are looking at, well, what do we need to do as opposed to just implementing technology? Now remember, this is only, what, 5 years ago. Human started to become more popular in the conversation. In 2020, I don't remember if you guys remember, something happened in 2020. March 12th, actually, is the day I said to Amjad, I'm going home and I'm not coming back. And then spent the next year and a half in my house. I'm sure many of you did something similar. COVID happened. And all of a sudden, it became much more important to be able to do things with all of us who were at home and keep our businesses going. And AI was a big part of that COVID-19 pandemic, everyone stay home, social distancing, masks, regardless of the conversations about those, they drove a lot. The words that were becoming popular in the conversations, the shift started happening while company was a huge focus. More and more people were talking about customers. More and more people were talking around data and analytics, around processes, around product, and around the human element of AI. In 2021, the conversations were around data centricism, the understanding that to build these AI solutions, you need to have good data. It wasn't as easy as just slapping something on top of an existing database. And we're going to talk today, one of our case studies that's going to come up from HORNE and Jackson Water, our partners, about cleaning up the data to prepare them to be able to do predictive AI. But it's the data that started to be talked about as being very important. And for the first time, the word customer became the top word of all the discussions. The conversations online shifted from what can the company do to what can we do for our customers, because customers weren't coming into businesses anymore. Right? And then in 2022, it became about personalization. How can we use AI as, again, those next best actions, the recommendation engines? And we started to have discussions around ethics. We started to have discussions around how do we implement these things without putting bias into them. And there's 5 different kinds of bias that were identified in these discussions of how do you do this. And then this led directly to the next year, which something happened in 2023 also. But at this point, in 2022, the 84% of C-suite executives saw AI as critical to their business. And remember, this is still before GPT models large language models were released to the public, right? Personalization became a primary focus. Explainability and ethics. I was doing a lot of work with the insurance industry, and they've been looking at this. And what I used to say to them is, yeah, please go explain to the 50 insurance commissioners how a decision engine is working under an AI model when you don't even know what's going on inside the model. Good luck with that, right? And the AI tools really started to improve operational efficiencies. The shift then went back to company, but at an equal level with customer. And then it was about machine learning. That became the big topic. About requirements, right? We're designing systems now. We need actual requirements, and around products that were being developed. And then in 2023, something happened in January of that year. Do you all remember what that was? This is only not even 2 years ago. ChatGPT was released to the general public. Right? So that became, for this year, this revolution around generative AI. Enhanced personalized customer experience, process automation became the focus of the conversations, but ethical AI concerns grew. And if you notice, what kind of went away this year? Company. The conversations during 2023, the year of generative AI, started focusing on the customer almost exclusively, around data and analytics, around changing work, around automation. This, again, isn't even 2 years ago. When we skip ahead to this year, which is 2024, so in the past, probably 3 or 4 weeks of articles are not in this research because we started a while ago. What we're starting to see is around AI is strategy, which I'm the SVP of Digital Strategy. That warms the cockles of my heart. That's what the conversation is about. But organizations are starting to get very serious this year around strategically implementing AI solutions to improve business, to improve their customer interactions, to improve the ways that they have their employees working. That's what the discussions are right now. It's all around the customer. And in this context, the customer is also, a large part of that are the employee customers. The other part of the conversation, aside from strategy, was again around data and analytics, right? How everyone started realizing that before you can invite this AI party to your house, you gotta go around and clean up a little bit, or a lot, right? Nobody's experienced this with bad data in their organization, I assume. Right? No, a little bit. So this is where we are today. What we're seeing at Oz, the types of initiatives around AI fall into 6 general categories. And I've seen some where there's 10 general categories, but the way we look at it is this. It's around experience, about creating better experiences for your customers, for your employees, for your partners, for your vendors. It's around productivity. How do you get things that are mundane? We've been talking about this for such a long time with RPA, but how do you get these mundane decisions that need to be made by a system? And then if there's an issue, throw it to a human to actually help with that decision-making process. It's around data and insights. It's around predictive AI. I know that Eric Siegel is going to be talking a little bit about that predictive AI as opposed to generative AI. Around content and media, developers, automation, that's a lot of the work that we're seeing. And then around security. Now, security is interesting because, there's 2 sides to that coin, like Amjad mentioned, right? AI is definitely helping companies stay more secure, but the bad actors are using AI to help companies stay less secure, right? So there's a lot of work that has to be done there. When you think about the use cases, in today's world, across the major functions of an organization, there's thousands. There's no limit to the use cases, across sales and marketing, customer service and HR and finance and all the other functions of an organization, not even looking at the industry-specific functions. There's so many things that you can choose to do, that you can choose to pilot. And then the question becomes, well, how do we choose, right? And that's hopefully a little bit about what we're going to be talking about today, and some of our clients come up with and show some of the demos of some of the solutions we've implemented. And we can have a discussion later on in the day with the Microsoft folks who are going to come up and talk about what they're actually seeing when they're working with clients around AI. But the ability to implement a solution, there's so many choices, so many options, anything you can think of. There's 100 of them on there, and that took me, I don't know, an hour across these 10 in each to come up with. All right, let's talk about how ingrained AI is in our culture at this point. Last week, they announced the Nobel Prizes. I think it was last week. It might have been the beginning of this week. John Hopfield and Geoffrey Hinton won for physics. And David Baker, Demis Hassabis, and I hope I'm pronouncing that right, and John Jumper won for chemistry. Does anybody know what these 5 individuals have in common? Oh, come on, you guys have to stay up on your news. I know we're busy and all. What they all have in common is they're not physicists and they're not chemists. They are AI researchers who created AI platforms in physics to, I don't know what they did, but they created an AI platform for physicists. And then chemistry, they created a platform that can identify, unfold, and predict with almost 100% accuracy what a protein looks like, any protein. So the winners of the two, I mean, aside from, the Nobel Peace Prize and the Nobel Prize for Literature, with the 2 major Nobel Prizes in science, went to AI researchers. That's how ingrained this has already become. Right? A little bit of a pushback saying, hey, these aren't physicists, these aren't chemists. And the Nobel Committee says, but the work they are doing is setting the groundwork for the next generation of physics and chemistry. And every industry is going to be, so back in the day when I had my own agency, I did a lot of work with the publishing industry. And there was an industry where absolutely everything had changed. Where the means of production, the way things were created, the way they were produced, the way they were sold, the way they were delivered to the end user, the reader, the way authors were being worked with by the industry, absolutely everything changed in their industry. And all industries are going to be impacted this way by AI. The fashion industry. There's a platform that's out there called Resonance One. And what this is one of the major issues in fashion is waste. Where as a fashion designer or a fashion house, you create a clothing line and you order a whole bunch of it. And whatever doesn't get sold either gets sent to a third world country or ends up in a dump somewhere. They have changed the model from create, buy, sell, to create, produce, sell, to create, sell, produce. Where the fashion designers in this platform can go in and create different designs in the platform, and AI guides them through it with different designs and different looks and different pieces of clothing. They can then sell it online or print just a couple of copies of it, or create just a couple of copies of it to have in their boutique. And then when they sell it, AI is used to automate the supply chain to have on-demand delivery of clothing. Okay? 1,000 designers are using this platform. Some who clothe people for the Oscars and the Emmys, and there's stories out there of designers who from 2 weeks out created and had a show at the New York Fashion Week within 2 weeks through this platform. The fashion industry is being changed the same way the publishing industry was changed back in the 2000s. Every industry is going to be changed in this way with AI. So remember this landscape, big data? Well, this is what it looks like today. And now it's called the MAD something landscape, which is machine learning, artificial intelligence, and data. There are platforms and solutions out there to purchase, to rent, across every aspect of your organization, across different industries, or you can create your own. So, the choices again are myriad. And the question is, how do you choose? Well, again, that's hopefully what we're here today to talk about a little bit. So let's talk about the future now. 5 years from now, what are we going to be talking about? We're going to be talking about AI. It's going to be a foundational technology. Like, honestly, we would not be having an internet conference in this day and age, right? It's just part of our lives, part of how we do business. Same thing with AI. We're going to be talking a lot more about human-AI collaboration. We're going to be talking about AI governance and ethics. And again, you know, the HORNE and Jackson Water conversation, we'll talk a little bit about that, about how we're set up now to do predictive AI. Systems are going to be autonomous. And AI, the automation is going to be AI-driven, where the AI platforms are going to learn what they should do and and how to do it. In 2029, we're also going to be talking about sustainability and social impact. Amazon, Google, and Microsoft, literally in the past couple of weeks, all announced that they were moving to nuclear power to power the data centers. Google is building a power plant in Tennessee. Microsoft just announced, I don't know if you guys know this week, that they are going to be using the power out of 3 Mile Island and expanding its capacity. Yeah, it's up and running. They fixed the problem. So there's so much power that's needed for these AI server farms that they're all moving to have their own nuclear power plants to drive them. Right? So we're going to have lots of conversations around sustainability right across the world for AI. We're going to have AI personalization at scale. Like what's the movie with Tom Cruise where he's walking through the Minority Report? He's walking through and it's like he's getting specific to him as he's walking, all the ads. Hopefully we're not going to have that, but it'll become very close. Beverly's going to show an incredible video, some examples of the future of what Microsoft is bringing out, of the ability for real-time, well, I'm not going to ruin her thunder, but it's really cool. Creativity. I saw an article about a platform that's coming out that allows someone to be sitting at a computer and within, I don't know, hours, create a full-length movie with real-life looking digital actors. The creative industry is going to be radically changed. And AI is going to be viewed as infrastructure in absolutely everything. I was at a conference a couple of years ago, and it was one of the carpet manufacturers, and they were actually talking about putting sensors in the carpets. More on the industrial side than the consumer side. So they'll be able to tell in a room like this, hey, this carpet is getting worn. We should give them a call and get it replaced. Right? And that was a couple of years ago. So I don't know how they've progressed.